Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Sports Corner with the Conn Man. I am your host, the Conn Man. I have with me a very special guest, my man Justin Payton, and my co-host, Mr. Mike Sammy. How y'all doing this evening?
I'm good. I'm good, man. Back to be on the comment show. What's up? What's up, both Mikes? How y'all?
I'm good. Nice to see you, Justin. Hello, Michael.
How y'all doing? Sorry for the technical difficulties, but y'all know how I am. But anyway, first and foremost, I want to congratulate you, Justin, on your marriage to your beautiful wife. I want to congratulate you, man. Congratulations, my brother.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Fresh into the honeymoon and everything. Everything's been going very spectacular so far. So
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Like I said, congratulations. Now, we're about to do the damn thing. Let's start off with the, I guess I'm going to take you all back a little bit. You know, we had the Heat and the Knicks, and of course, that was game two. The Knicks beat the Heat 111 to 105. What's your take on that game, fellas?
go ahead, Mike.
Well, kind of coming off the series, the Heat coming off the series with the Bucks. I think there was a little bit of a letdown there too, as far as kind of coming into the second game. The first game was a nice win for them, but some injuries are starting to creep in with everybody, and that's really going to, I think, start to change the tenor of the playoffs when you get down to this level, right? Or you get up to this level, and you only have certain teams left. Everybody's dinged up. It's just a matter of, Michael, you and I've talked about this a number of times about, in different situations where you have to be able to adjust, right? You have to be able to adjust your not so much your style, but just try to figure out how to maximize your style at this point, right? What actually gets over, what's going to get over best for you. So I think that series, the Knicks and the Heat, I think that's going to drag out a bit. I think they're going to beat up one another pretty good. Part of me likes the Knicks, because I know how Thibodeau coaches, and I know how his guys are responding to him. Now, he's not one of those guys that can stick around long term with an organization because he just wears guys out, and his style and his intensity. But I sort of like the Knicks there. I know the Heat are hurt. They got a bunch of guys hurt. Butler's hurt. And you can't really expect him to carry that team again like he did with the Bucks. I don't think that's a realistic approach. But I think it's a nice series to watch because I think it looks different than any other series that's taking place right now. I think just because of the fact that the Knicks are going to play hard, they're going to play some defense, and that's what I think really a separator for them as far as the other teams that are remaining.
Injuries is definitely part of the game. That's the number one thing I'm taking away in this series is injuries. Jalen Brunson's not healthy. Julius Randle's not healthy. Jimmy Butler's not healthy. Tyler's out for the rest of the season. So I have the Knicks going as well. Since Jimmy Butler went down with the injury, if he was healthy, I don't really know who I would take this series because he's the leading scorer in the playoffs. When the playoff Jimmy Butler, that is a real thing and everything. But the Knicks, they're a better team and like they hustle, they play hard. Josh Hart, when the Knicks added Josh Hart, he was a great addition because he could do everything the coach asked him to do. He had a great game too. Jalen Brunson had a great second half, not much of a first half. Julius Randle did really well with 25 points. So the Knicks got a really good advantage over the Heat and everything because the Heat have to look to Jimmy Butler. But Gabe Vincent was really phenomenal past two games. Max Strus too as well. Duncan Robinson hit a couple threes. So, but the Knicks are the better team, and this could go, depends on the health of Jimmy Butler, because if he's not really healthy, the Knicks could probably get it in like 5 or 6 games.
At the beginning of the series, I kind of wanted the Heat, but given the fact that they lost Hero and playoff Jimmy is kind of under the gun, I think that the Knicks are going to take advantage of that in full force. I think the Knicks are playing very well. And you mentioned Jason Hart. He was a teammate of Brunson in college. So they have that, they have that sync together, and I think that makes a big difference. And he's come off and hit some big clutch shots in the game. Mm-hmm. And Mr. Robinson has come to play. Yes. My man's doing a little bit. He's doing a little something as far as rebounding, rim protecting. Yep. So in that series, I gotta go with the Knicks as well. I like the way Brunson's playing. I like the way they're being coached. I like the way the defensive adjustments. And you know what I mean? What I'm going to say about the playoffs, I think in every every blackboard, it should be adjustments and timeouts.
Yeah.
Make your adjustments and use your timeouts necessary. A lot of teams, now some coaches go with the fact that let them play through it. Some coaches go stop the bleeding. Some, I don't know whatever way they want to go. In my opinion, you got timeouts, use them very well. That's my opinion on that series. But I'm gonna go with the Knicks as well.
You know,
Now
Mike,
we're gonna
what
go.
you're talking about in these situations now, everything is magnified, right? Every decision, every play, every possession is magnified. And if you're not up to it, and if you haven't taken advantage of the season to kind of train your team and create that mentality and that motivation, it's really hard to start to implement that now because everyone's looking at everything, right? And if you make a mistake, it's everywhere the next day. And that's hard to overcome emotionally. But that's where everything is now. Everything is now, it's a microcosm of everything that's taking place, right? So everything gets played out. Everything is Monday morning quarterback the next day or just during that game. And that's hard for an organization, young teams, young players getting used to playing one another if they've had some trades, late in the season and trying to adapt to some of those things. So that's where you start to see this, right? You start to see this stuff actually play out where I know we're going to talk about the Western side of this, but those guys are used to it. Right? Those guys have been through this before. Who's on the East Coast right now in the Eastern Division has been through this, except for the Celtics at this point. Nobody. Right? All those guys are gone. Right? Philadelphia is new to this as far as their length in getting to this. Back to when they played Kawhi in the finals. But most of that team has been rebuilt. Well, all of that team has been rebuilt. So you're really looking at guys who are coming at this relatively brand new experience in professional basketball. For them.
I agree with you, Mike. But sometimes that begets circumstances and consequences. What I mean by that is Mike Budenholzer just got the boot today.
Yeah.
And they were saying major things that he did not do was utilize his timeouts effectively. And that's why, no, that's not the only reason, but that's one of the reasons why he got the boot. So, I mean, we can all have a difference. I just think that, when it comes down to playoff time, like you said, everything is under the microscope. You got a chance to, a lot of pressure. You got under a microscope. You got the teams who can study your film, study everything, know all your plays. It makes things different. Makes it very difficult. All right, now we're gonna go. Let's go again, but we all got the Knicks on that one. Now I think we're gonna have a little problem on this one. We have the 76ers and the Celtics. Series all tied at 1-1. 76 played without JoJo, who had just received the MVP award.
Congrats.
Absolutely. Well deserved, by the way.
Yeah.
And, the Celtics were getting a lot of heat because they were at home. They should have took advantage of it. And apparently they didn't. And, Embiid got that MVP. And it was questioned whether he should have played the game. Let me go to that first. You guys think he should have played game 2 or rested and waited till they go back home on game 3?
I would have because, when you look at his career and stuff, he hasn't really been healthy. He probably, played like maybe like 1 or 2 years, like kind of fully healthy and everything. I would have waited till game 3 for him to play and all that because, game 1, James Harden carved us and the ball movement was just unbelievable on Philadelphia's side. Tobias Harris, Tyrese Maxey, even though he was in foul trouble, but he still scored. But Paul Reed was definitely a very great. He was great in game 1, hitting clutch free throws and killing the Celtics on the screens and everything. We didn't really have an answer in terms of the zone defense. Doc implemented us because the Celtics was killing the 76ers in the paint and they were shooting efficiency too as well. But Boston should have won game 1, but they beat themselves and had 16 turnovers, which is really bad. Matt Gabarron with that 1 turnover that kind of just led 76ers with the lead and everything. Marcus Smart with that 1 turnover and all that. They did a great job of keeping Philly off the line and all that, but Harden still killed us and got what he wanted because anytime you got Al Horford and you're a guard, that's like a recipe for disaster and everything. So game 2, they wasn't willing, and Malcolm Brown and Al Horford said this. They said that like they knew Embiid wasn't going to play, but they wasn't prepared of, James Harden to go crazy like that. So game 2 was kind of like a statement for them to let them know that they're still a top 5 defense, top 5 offense from the regular season, and that they limited to them to 87 points and also shooting 20% from 3. And the Celtics played amazing defense. They committed less turnovers. Jason Tatum was in foul trouble, but everybody else stepped up to the plate. Marcus Smart, Derek White, Grant Williams had 42 combined points. And Tatum only had 7 just because he was in foul trouble. Malcolm Brogdon had 23 points off the bench. So the Celtics really set a statement out saying that they can still beat Philadelphia no matter what if they are really motivated, because they usually play to the competition of their level. They need to play to the Celtics level of their expectations. And Joe Mazzulla, I give him a lot of credit because he had moments at game 1 where he wasn't really like a coach, but he's only a rookie head coach. He made adjustments in game 2, exactly what they needed. And on the 76ers side in game 2, they was trying to figure out ways to get Embiid going and everything and just try to see what he can do. James Harden had a bad game and all that because, he kind of not went from the Houston. He kind of tried to do everything, try to, facilitate and try to score, but it just didn't really work out. And, they just didn't have the answer for Boston because Boston was desperate to win game 2.
I wouldn't have played and beat the game 2. I would have waited.
Yep.
I just thought that, there's a theory running around that, well, maybe you can sneak in and win game 2 somehow. The Celtics were going to play down again in game 2. That wasn't likely. They weren't going to come. They weren't going to leave Boston with no wins. So I would have waited. Even with the adjustments and in the theory of trying to get him going. There's always that risk because of his injury history. I just wouldn't have. I wouldn't have taken that risk.
Yep.
Now the Celtics, real problem with just the lack of sense of an urgency with that team. Yes. And it goes. Yeah. It's just amazing.
Preach, please. Preach.
He will.
Keep going. No, I like this. Preach, please.
So it goes back to Atlanta. How the heck do you lose that game in Boston? How does that happen, right? So now you have to travel again, go play them away, give them another shot at you. Mm-hmm. That just blew my mind. I don't understand how you'd be able to give that up. And the expectation is to be looked at as one of the top teams in the league. Yes, offensively, really good. Just the decision making, and I know, what Marcus Smart just won the Hustle Award and what his teammates think of him. But man, that ball's in his hands all the time, and you're asking him to make decisions where he's not a point guard. I'm not even sure if he's a guard, right? I think he's a good player, right?
He's a player.
But you're asking him to make decisions at certain points, and God forbid he gives up a shot, right? Because if he catches it in the 3-point, he's going to take it. And that's come back to bite them the last few years, where teams are very happy with taking the ball out, getting the ball out of Tatum's hands or Brown's hands or Horford's hands, and let Smart take the shot. Because he's not a great percentage shooter. He wants to be able to make those plays. So the sense of urgency is just lost on me, that I don't understand where, this whole thing of redemption from last year and what happened in the finals with Golden State. We want to come back. We want to do this. I just don't get that sense with them. And, the clock is running on this team. I don't mean to sound panicky here with them, but the clock is running with this team. That how many more years are you going to have this format with these guys to actually go forward and win a championship and challenge for a championship? I don't know. I'm leaning more and more and more with Philadelphia at this point. You've got 2 games in Philadelphia. They've got to split, obviously, to come back to Boston and gain the home court again. But really, home court for them is not an advantage. It's not an advantage like it used to be. It's really more flat earth with this team. And I just don't get them. I don't get the fact that they don't step on the accelerator enough and put teams away and move on. They seem to be very happy with letting teams hang around in game situations, in series situations. And I just don't understand it. I don't know if it's a lack of maturity on these players. I don't want to blame the coach at this point because he's on the job learning, even though he's been around.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you've got these guys who, there's a nice mix there as far as some veterans, kind of guys in the middle of their career and some young guys. Now, I do question the fact of the rotation with the players. I'm not really sure I would be playing some of those guys in the playoffs as I did during the regular season. I would think I'd want to shorten the bench. That would be one of the things I would look at almost immediately. So I've got a real problem here. I just don't understand how, kind of following the Boston Bruins, if the Celtics fall out of the playoffs here, you can't read anything in the Massachusetts newspapers forever about these two teams because they're going to underachieve again.
I mean, he does have a point. That's the thing with the Celtics is like at the beginning of the season, you're like, okay, Boston's the best team, clearly the best team because they are sending statements, they're shooting efficient, they're playing really good defense. Malcolm Brogdon playing like a six-man, Jason Tatum playing like an MVP candidate, Jaylen Brown having the best career year, shooting the ball and everything. And then in the second half, it's just almost like kind of like the opposite. Like they're able to dominate, but then they end up not finishing games. They let the foot off the gas, whether it be turnovers or whether it be just bad shooting and stuff, or they're going to keep relying on a three. That's the thing about the Celtics. They're going to keep relying on that 3-point shot because that was their weapon because they're one of the top 3-point shooting teams in the league. Yeah, they usually beat themselves. Like, I still don't get it, that's another question I'm be asking, like, well, how do y'all beat yourselves so badly? Like, you had game one in the bag, and then all of a sudden, all these turnovers, and then just bad shooting, and you just don't play defense. And then you're relying on Marcus Smart, which no offense to Marcus Smart, he's a good player, and you're asking him to take the shot and all that. Now, sometimes he makes it, sometimes he doesn't. Al Horford, he's not the same Al Horford that used to be and all that because he's getting older and everything. So he's not able to give you that perimeter defense. He could still give you interior defense and rebounding. That's another issue with the Celtics is rebounding. You have to depend on Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown to give you like 10 plus rebounds because you don't have anyone else rebounding and all that. Robert Williams III is still not healthy, and he's not having a really great playoff season like he did against Atlanta and everything. So it's the Celtics got different problems and all that. They're still going to be the favorites coming out the East, just because Philadelphia and Embiid. I don't know how healthy Embiid is going to be though. We don't know how consistent James Harden is going to be in terms of scoring and everything. I know Doc Rivers is a really good coach who can make X's and O's and try to make something happen and all that. But, Boston is the favorite, but like they have to stop acting like they're going to play level to their competition. They needed to play at a high level because they're a really great team with a lot of veteran presence, like you said, and also young guys and everything. And Tatum and Brown elevate the scoring and all that. So they have to play at their level instead of playing at the competition's level.
Now I got to ask you both a question. Do you think Ime Udoka, because they're saying if he was still there, the Celtics might have been playing better because they've been there before, and the players really liked him. Whereas, although they have, I guess they still like the coach they have now, but they're making a lot of points. Not me, but people are making points that maybe Ime Udoka would have brought them, or still early, he could have brought them to the finals again this year, if not further. Question number one. Question number two, with the 76ers getting smacked in the mouth, what adjustments do you think they need to make in game 3?
Go ahead, Mike.
I'm not sure about the coaching thing. I think if there was a situation with that, I think that would have come out already. I think, with Joe, I think it's kind of, that should have been smoothed out already. I'm not really sure he could have gotten any more out of them than what's there. Because I don't know, when you start looking at last season and how that ended up and how they started the season, as Justin was saying, they came out blazing, right? And you knew that wasn't going to be sustainable, right? There's going to have to be adjustments that were taking place just because of, as Justin was saying, how they were scoring, right? 3-pointers all over the place. And then when they came out flat, they really struggled to try to figure out how to score. So now, I don't know the coaching situation with that, as how that would have changed that dynamic with that team. I'm not sure. The adjustments for Philadelphia are going to have to be, again, as you start looking at the capacity of Embiid. Can he play? Right? You're not going to get Harden to get 45 again. That's not going to happen, right? I don't think so. So you're going to rely on your support players to really help you. And part of this is Embiid's maturity, right? If he's not 100%, which nobody is at this point, he's going to have to figure out to maximize his his strengths, right? And so does that mean he stays on the perimeter more? Does he play inside more? I don't know. I think part of that is that strategy of you're going to pull Williams, you're going to pull Horford away. So you probably want him playing the high post a little bit more. And that maybe, kind of isolate some other situations they can take advantage of. So it's going to be difficult for them for those adjustments. Yes, they did get knocked around pretty good last night. So we'll see. I think that just really comes down again to the health of this and what they can rely on. Because I'm not really sure those other guys are going to be able to play as they played in the first game. But I still have issues with the Celtics. I still think this potentially looks like it might be a long series.
It's going to be a long series. In terms of Ime Udoka, the one thing that the Celtics did really well last year, when they found out their identity was defense, and Ime Udoka is a defensive-minded coach, so we was able to play really great defense and all that with, seeing Robert Williams III elevate his game, Marcus Smart winning Defensive Player of the Year, Tatum actually blocking shots and stealing the ball, Jaylen Brown doing the same thing. Everybody brought in on the defensive side, and that's the way we kind of went to the finals is our defense and everything. With Ime Udoka in that situation that happened and everything, nobody didn't really expect it, and they had to let him go, unfortunately, and they had to bring Joe Mazzulla in, and Joe Mazzulla, was the assistant last year and everything. So he was just trying to finish up Ime Udoka's system and everything, but he ain't gonna bring like that defensive presence and all that. He's more like when I look at him, he's more like he's still trying to figure things out, and he's just letting them play free-flowing ball and all that because all that talent that they have and everything. So he's still trying to figure things out of how he can imprint his coaching into the Boston Celtics and all that. He's not going to be the guy that's going to call the timeouts. He's going to let the players figure out themselves. That's free-flowing basketball because they ain't going to play and everything, unfortunately. So that coaching thing, like I said, he made the adjustments that he needed for game 2 and everything. So the players have to buy into him if they want to get back to the finals or even win the championship. They got to buy into the adjustments and coaching and all that. So he's still going to figure things out. There's a lot of people that kind of went into rookie head coaches, like Steve Kerr won the championship with the Golden State Warriors and everything, just bringing the experience. He was still learning on the fly of, coaching and all that because, he never been a head coach before. And he won the championship with the Golden State Warriors, with his philosophy and everything. So there's people that been through that type of rain and everything. Joe Mazzulla is not going to be the only one, so he's still learning on the fly. In terms of adjustments for the Philadelphia 76ers of how they can beat Boston and all that, they're a better rebounding team than Boston. So if they can dominate the rebounding off the glass, offensive rebounds, defensive rebounds, they have a chance and everything because one of the key things to winning the basketball game, in my opinion, is rebounding. James Harden, we ain't going to see the 45-point James Harden and all that. The one thing that he would need to do is he needs to learn how to balance the game out. Like, yeah, you can still give Embiid his touches and everything and try to get everybody involved, but also learn how to be aggressive yourself and be able to figure out ways to score the basketball and everything. Because, Boston, yeah, they'll okay into your defensive team. With Robert Williams, on the bench and everything, you can still manage to go attack the paint. You're still a great finisher around the paint and everything. Tyrese Maxey have to, elevate his scoring and everything. They need consistency from Tobias Harris because Tobias Harris is one of those players that you be like, okay, well, he's going to give you like 15, 18 a game. But if he gives you less than that, then he's not really producing and everything. If you could get something out of George Niang in terms of 3-point shots, that's awesome because Philadelphia's bench is not that great than Boston's bench, unfortunately. So Doc Rivers is a good coach. He's going to figure things out try to figure out how to stop, Boston from, 3-point shots. Because if they ain't hitting the 3-point shots, they have to depend on driving in the lane. And then you got to commit, like they did with Jason Tatum. Because Jason Tatum, if he wasn't in foul trouble, Jason Tatum was going to have a real good night and all that because they couldn't figure out ways to stop Tatum. So if you can figure out how to stop Tatum and then figure out how to stop Brown and try to depend on the other players to step up to the plate, Philadelphia got a chance. And B is going to get his points. He's going to get his points regardless if he's healthy and everything. It's about the others that have to step up and then what type of defense that they would have to adjust so that Boston doesn't go on that rampage of scoring like they did in the third quarter last night.
Great point. That's why you get 3,000 views. But anyway, what I want to bring up, the fact is, a lot of teams bounce back from adversity. Now, I think the 76ers, because they got spanked last night, they're going to come out on fire, I believe. Next game, I think they're going to come out and really play a damn good game. I think they'll win game number 3. Game number 4, I might have to roll with the Celtics, and then it goes back to Boston. Like, it's going to be a long series. I think health plays a major role. Again, with Embiid, how healthy is he? Can he be effective? I mean, he had 28 minutes, 3 rebounds. That's not his game. Although he had 5 block shots, 3. That's not his game. So depending upon how well he's playing and how well his health is a concern to me. If he's healthy, I think Philadelphia really has a chance. I really do. And and one thing I got to do, interject, Mr. Jaden Patton. You said we when you talked about the Celtics. You said we. I caught that. I already cut you. You're a Celtics fan, so I already know what's going on. You said we. I got you. I got you on that one. All right, yeah, you think you're gonna pass that right by me? I got you. See, you caught that right. All right.
You can check the back right there what jersey I got. So
I got you, boss. I got you. All right. So we kind of agree on everything. Almost, I think. Let's go to the Western Conference. Let's talk about this evening's game. I got a couple of points I want to bring out about that as well. We got the Warriors-Lakers. Game 2 is this evening in about 20 minutes. What's your take on this game this evening?
Go ahead, Mike.
I've been waiting for this series, right? Because I just because of the history of the organizations, the players, the NBA must be loving this, right? Because one of those teams is going to get to the conference finals.
Yes.
So that's a big deal. The marquee side of this is great. I was thinking about this today in comparison to Embiid and Davis, right? Where these guys are, they need to play. They need to be on point. They can't flake out of the game. They have to be motivated on these things. So, when you look at those and how those teams are built, it's sort of the situation where Golden State played really well in the first game as far as shooting and scoring, and that formula probably should have got them a win. But all of a sudden, the 2 veterans showed up and decided to play, right, and just decided to take over. And so you're dealing with a situation where, again, as we've been talking, I think consistently here about matchups, that there's a size issue that Golden State can't counter, right? So they have to outscore you. They're not going to really be able to stop you. So you're hoping that Davis and LeBron have an off night, right? And they're not going to dominate things as they did in the first game. Now, can you expect Golden State to shoot the way they shot in the first game? Maybe not, but they'll probably get close because those guys are that good. So it's really, I think, the matchup here is really cool to watch, where you have this really different way of playing, which we've watched Golden State play for a long time, right? Everyone's running around taking 3-pointers, coming off of screens. Then you have LeBron, you have Davis, where it sort of looks like, I know we're playing on the perimeter, but you still have Davis inside, right? And Davis is going to be able to do what he wants to do unless they figure that out. And I'm not really sure they have the pieces to figure it out. But I think I've never been a great Laker fan or at all. I think they might win this series. I really do. When push comes to shove on this, how would you bet against LeBron and Davis at this point? And I could come at this another way and say, how could you bet against Curry and his team and Kerr and that coaching? But I think just the matchups here. The matchups are that I think Davis and LeBron, I think, can succeed here, and they can win this series. And then you're talking about what down the line. I don't know. Would they be the favorite to win the championship at that point? I know they got to go through probably Denver. But, geez, I don't know if I want to face LeBron and Davis in a series. If they're playing well and they're on point, I don't know, man. Be cool. It's going to be fun to watch.
My take is, y'all, is that the Lakers did win the first game. My opinion is, do you think that the Lakers, AD and LeBron can sustain their minutes per game? And how effective can that be? Can they sustain it for which this might be a 7-game series. So can they sustain that? Number one. Number two, I think LeBron takes too many 3-pointers. I think that hurts the team. But we know He's probably conserving energy. It's easy to shoot a three-pointer, easy to get back on defense. We all know that. But I think with his power, his strength, he should be penetrating, taking the ball to the cup, and get the Warriors in foul trouble, although he's not a good foul shooter. I just think also, right now, AD has a tendency to go have one good game, one bad game. One good game, one bad game. So can he be consistent? I think because you're going to get out of Steph. You're going to get Thompson. I don't know what we're going to get out of Davis. Like tonight, who knows what's going to happen? LeBron's going to do his thing. I just wish he would take less. Do you guys realize he's like the worst three-point shooter in NBA? And I know he's aware of that. I just wish he would take less three-pointers. And my take is the Warriors are going to come out. I doubt they're going to lose 2 games at home. So I think they're going to come out and play very effective tonight. I think I'm going to go with the Warriors tonight. And according to analytics, they have a 65% chance of winning game 2 tonight. Mm-hmm. I'm going to roll with the Warriors tonight. But I think if the Lakers can be consistent, because since the trade deadline, they've had the best defense in the NBA. Right. So if they can be consistent and do what they're supposed to do, I think the Lakers are going to end up beating the Warriors.
So with the Lakers and Warriors, they were a Jordan Poole shot away, in terms of the Warriors to win that game. If he would have stepped in a little bit more, but I can't really blame him for that because he was hot from the 3-point line last game and everything. I'm intrigued in the rebounding battle. Kevon Looney is the leading rebounder in the postseason. And then you're going to go against AD, who's another good rebounder, too, as well. I'm intrigued to see the rebounding battle between them two and everything. Anthony Davis, the only person that can be Anthony Davis is himself because he got a mismatch. Kevon Looney's kind of slow on his feet. Draymond Green cannot really defend Anthony Davis and all that. It's up to durability for Anthony Davis if he can stay healthy and also if he be able to stay consistent because he plays great when it's odd games 1, 3, 5, 7. And so forth. Even games, not so much. So can he stay consistent in terms of scoring like 30-something points and getting a lot of rebounds and everything? Now, LeBron had a decent, all right game, not really much of a game that LeBron, but he didn't have to be because Dennis Schroeder stepped up, hit his free throw shots. D'Angelo Russell added in 19 points, and he's one of those players that he's off and on or hot and cold and all that, especially he's not really great in the playoffs. So for him to score 19 points, which is good. Okay. Austin Reeves is still a great player, good player for the Lakers. So, the Lakers could possibly get to the Western Conference Finals if AD could definitely stay consistent. Now, you was asking, could they maintain the minutes and everything? That's going to be hard to say because we don't know how healthy they're going to be and all that, and how tired they're going to be. So, that's the question for themselves and all that. Lakers got a chance to win this series and all, but you can't really count Golden State out because Steph Curry, we thought the Sacramento Kings was going to win that series and all that, the way he looked and everything. But Steph Curry dropped probably the best Game 7 performance in NBA history with 50 points. He was not going to let his team down and everything in that series. So Steph is going to be Steph. Jordan Poole, I was like, this is going to be a Jordan Poole series to me because he didn't have a great playoff series last time. And I feel like he has an easier matchup and all that. And you see he had 21 points and he was shooting efficient too as well. Klay Thompson had a good series and everything. So I would say Golden State will win tonight because they're not going to look to see, they're going to lose at home and all that. Because if they lose at home, it's going to be really trouble because Golden State's not that great on the road and everything. But like I said, the Lakers could beat themselves. Now, Steve Kerr can make an adjustment to play zone defense because the Lakers, even though they got better in terms of shooting, but they're still not a great shooting team and everything. So if you play zone defense and all that, like they want to and all that, they have a chance and all that, but they got to score on the other end and, hit their shots and all that at the same time. So, I got the Warriors winning tonight, but it really depends on Anthony Davis, how consistent he can be in scoring the ball and rebounding because he got a mismatch pretty much all game and all that. Now, the Warriors can play a lot faster and play small ball too as well. So if they could go and adjust and play small ball and go a lot faster, they have a chance because you play Kevon Looney and Draymond Green at the same time and everything. That's Anthony Davis. That's the recipe for disaster and all. So.
Can I just jump in and one thing about the minutes? How is it that professionals at this point have to manage minutes? How come?
I don't know. That's what they say.
That's the question, yeah.
Right, but with the timeouts that exist, with the TV timeouts that exist, how is anybody tired? I don't understand.
It's playoff basketball. I'm with you. Like, it's playoff basketball. I will, like, you got to play the minutes. You got to play those minutes. Man. If you want to win the game, you got to play. You got to play. But, you know, you get tired. You get tired. I mean, I can't really speak for the player. I can't really speak for Anthony Davis and LeBron. LeBron, I understand because he's getting older. But AD is, like, supposed to be your best player on your team.
Right.
So, and then you got to stay healthy, too, at the same time. Because, I mean, that's the thing with it because Anthony Davis played like what 44 minutes. I was like, ooh. And then LeBron played like 43. I'm like, ooh, LeBron played 43 minutes. I was like, ooh. I mean, he's getting older, so but you know they're trying to win the game. They're trying to win this playoff series. So that's the. I mean, like, you got a good point, Mike. But I mean, you got it's. Yeah.
Right.
I'm not there, but I get frustrated with this, right? Because we've had this ongoing conversation all season about load management, right?
Right. I know, right?
And now we're going to start worrying about someone's minutes because they're older and they're going to get tired. I'm like, what? I
agree. And you know something? Steve Kerr came out and said last night, you know what we're going to do? We're going to run. You guys want to play 40 minutes? We're going to run. So tonight we're going to find out because they're going to be flying up and down the court. We're going to see if AD and LeBron, again, can handle that, or are they going to play less minutes to be stronger at the end of the game? That's one point I want to make. And my second point, this is very intriguing because it came up today in all the other sports shows. If, in fact, the Lakers do win the championship, do you guys think, I think you know I'm going with this, do you guys think that Mr. Westbrook and Mr. Beverly deserve a ring? No, let me rephrase it. Should they get a ring?
I mean, technically, they've been on the team for half the season and everything. Elgin Baylor got a championship ring, but he said he didn't really want to count it, though. But he played, like, 10 games in the season and all that. What was another person I was trying to think of? Was it Anderson Varejao that played, like, half the season and got traded, and then he still got a ring, though? So, I mean, like, you're still going to get a ring and all that, but that is up to the players if they still want to count it and all that, you know, in terms, oh, yeah, I got a championship and all that, you know. Matt Barnes came in half the season. He got a championship with the Warriors, but, like, you know, he's like, oh, I don't have a championship and all that. So it really just depends, though, so.
I would be more interested in the playoff share, right? I'd want the share, maybe not the. I could care less.
Oh, right.
I'd be more than happy with that. Now, the other side of this is right. Do any of these guys have anything in their contracts as far as incentives with championships? And with that
I don't know.
I know. I wonder if that's sitting there that you could actually activate that incentive. That'd be interesting. I do have a question for both of you. I thought, Michael, you were going to go in a different direction with the question. My question would be, if the Lakers win, does LeBron retire?
Oh, man. Whew, man, that's a tough one. I don't think I could.
No.
I think he wants to play with his son. I still think he's trying to do that.
Yep.
Ooh, Mike, that's a tough one, man. That's a tough one. That is a I don't know.
Like, it's a good way to end, you know, your career is like you got the all-time leading scorer. You beat Kareem in the most all-star appearances all time, and then you're a 7th seed, and then you win the championship. I mean, you would have to walk off of that. But knowing LeBron gonna play longer than he should and everything, and you know, he wants to play with his son. Like, that's his goal. He's trying to play with his son and try to stay healthy and all that.
Yes.
So, you know, and what he's doing in year 20 is like phenomenal. So, I mean, I think he ain't gonna retire.
Mike, that was a tough question, but my answer is he'll be back. I think, again, the guy pays $1 million to stay healthy, I think, a year. I think he'll be back next year. And, you know, a lot of teams like want to defend the title. And I don't think, I think in that regard, I think he'll definitely return. All right, gentlemen, let's go into interesting next game, which would be the Nuggets and the Suns. And before I hit you guys up with that one, we got Mr. Kevin Durant. Came in, I think he ended up playing, 16 games with the Suns before the playoffs, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody said, oh, they're going to win it. They're going to win it all. They're going to win it all. You can bank on it. We're going to win it all. And we know why Durant left the Warriors. That's why he went to the Nets. And then he left the Nets. Now he's going with Phoenix. Now, before we talk about the game, what's your impression if the Suns are losing this series? Does that matter as far as obtaining Durant, or can we just say, look, he didn't have enough time to play with them? We can wait till next year. What's your take on that?
Go ahead, Mike.
I don't know. This is going back to guys with injuries. I don't know how much tread is on that tire anymore.
Mm-hmm.
There seems to be injuries on top of injuries with Durant. And I don't know how that team is built. If that team is built to actually win a championship and you want to wait till next year to kind of exhaust all of those possibilities, I think that's fine. But I think the better days with Durant are behind him at this point. And I don't know what else you would do to build around him and Booker. It's some of the other problems you have with how that team has been constructed, right? There's some real issues there. There's some maturity issues with some of those players, right? Trying to figure out how they play and if they're going to play at all, and if they're willing to take on the matchup that exists right in front of them. So I think that's a real challenge for them on what that looks like. So I don't know. I mean, Durant's been banged up, so I'm not really sure again how much he's got left. And I'm not really sure how motivated he is to actually kind of dig in and do all this stuff when what is really required to win. And that team, and including Chris Paul, has never really succeeded, right? There's always been an issue somewhere, somehow, where someone gets injured in a crucial point, can't succeed. They don't have enough pieces to move on. So they're pretty fragile in how they're built. And so that's difficult where you don't have any real inside presence that's consistent. The matchup right now that exists with Denver is problematic for them because they can't figure this out, and they don't have enough offense to kind of drive this through with Paul gone. I'm not really sure if he's going to come back at all, and if he does, he's going to be really limited on what he can do. So I don't know. Durant's that's a real good question, Michael, as far as what his interests are and what he wants to do. But again, I think there's a lot of, it's funny when you get these guys who are injured, and one of the things that comes out is, and I think you see this with Thompson from Golden State, those injuries that he had, what ends up happening is those guys can't play defense anymore, right? They lose their lateral movement. They can run around and shoot and do everything on offense, but when it comes to defense and committing, it's really hard now for those guys to actually do that. And Durant suffers from that too. Offensively, I think he can be fine, but his overall game, I think, gets to be hurt just because, his legs have had a lot of trauma put on them and a lot of injuries in a real short period of time. So every time I see somebody get an Achilles injury or a knee injury, the technology is so much better. Well, that's fine. But you're still talking about someone that's going to come back who's had a lot of miles on their body, who's played a lot of basketball. And it's just difficult to come back if you come back at all. And how whole are you after all of that?
I agree with you. And the fact is, damn, I feel so bad for Chris Paul. It seems like every time playoffs come, something happens to this guy. They have no chance without Chris Paul. I mean, he's a major factor. And again, I think he's 37, if I'm correct. And he's got injuries upon injuries upon injuries. Again, they gave up so much to get Durant. So they figure, again, having him, that's going to make everything fine because Book's playing out of his mind, but they really don't have a bench to go to. And again, he's kind of inconsistent as well. And I don't know. I think the Suns, I'm in big trouble unless I don't even know who they're going to have at point guard. I don't even know who's going to be playing tonight at point. I have no idea. I don't know. I was thinking about him. Yeah. Well, he's done it before. He has played well in the playoffs before, so maybe he can be effective tonight. But the Nuggets, man, you know what? They're good on the transition. They're good in a half-court set. Jokic jumps 8 inches off the ground, but he's so effective. He got every basic move, and he's killing people, man. And they got Porter's playing well too, and then they got Gordon. I mean, I like the makeup of the team. They seem to like each other. They seem to play well together. There's no major issues. I think they're well coached. I think the Nuggets gonna. I don't think it's gonna be a sweep, but I think they're gonna probably take within 5 or 6 games.
You would have to ask for Herculean performances from KD and Booker for them to score a combined plus 70 points in order to win the game and everything. Now, you was asking, do you think the Suns have a chance to win a championship and everything? When that deal first happened, I was like, if Phoenix be able to stay healthy and then you can get consistency and then Chris Paul staying healthy, they have a chance. But then when Chris Paul went down and after seeing them 2 games, not so much of a chance because credit to Aaron Gordon and Bruce Brown, great pickup that the Nuggets did frustrate KD because KD is settling for like 3-point shots. He can't really get into the rhythm like he wants to and everything. And Booker got to pick up the slack. That's the only guy that's picking up the slack is Devin Booker. And then DeAndre Ayton is going to be DeAndre Ayton. He ain't going to give you like 20, 25 points a game and 10, 14 rebounds. No, he's going to give you probably 15 to 18 points a game. That's the best you're going to see from DeAndre Ayton. The Suns don't have no bench. Like Landry Shamet, Campaign, Terrence Ross, Terrence Ross, Torrey Craig. I mean, you're going to ask for them to score, and they can't really be consistent. So the Suns don't really have no bench. You got to rely on KD and Book to carry that heavy scoring load and everything. Could they be back next year? They could be. If Chris Paul comes back next year, they have a chance maybe, but they have to move some pieces around. You would need to get a bench in order for them to compete and everything. And then also you're going to have a lot of time together with the chemistry because they didn't have much chemistry since KD was out, majority of the season with the Suns and all that, and then came back in the playoffs. So they would have to develop that chemistry because it takes a lot, games to develop that chemistry and everything. So you're asking KD to do something a lot, and credit to the new owner for like putting in the chips and betting on trying to get Kevin Durant for them to win the championship. But health is definitely a factor in all that. On the Nuggets side, man, they're looking really good at the right time. Game 1, we saw Jamal Murray electric performance that you haven't seen since the bubble and everything. Jokic still did really well. He's been consistent this series, but he played amazing game 2. Even though Jamal Murray had an off game and all that, and Portal played good in game 2 too as well. But Bruce Brown, the Nuggets don't really have much of a bench either though, but Bruce Brown's been really consistent. He's been playing really well. I like that rookie Christian Braun. He's been doing really good. Even though he's not scoring, but you can see he's playing defense, rebounding the ball too as well. Aaron Gordon's playing good. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, had an amazing game, in game 2 and all that. So Nuggets can beat you in so many different ways, in terms of their offense. They kind of remind me of the old Spurs system and all that. Well, everybody's going to get a chance to touch the ball and all that, even though the 3-point shooting is more elevated, but everybody get a chance to still touch the ball. And then they just got to commit themselves to playing defensively and all that. So, but yeah, the Suns are cooked. Could it be a sweep? I don't want it to be a sweep. I think that, one of the games the Suns might end up getting them if the Nuggets is not having a great game, and then you can have consistency from KD and Book. So we'll just have to wait and see.
That's a lot to ask though from Booker and Durant.
Yeah, it is.
That's a lot. At this point with season, and with Durant coming back from his injury late, when they acquired him. So yeah, I'm kind of smelling a sweep here though.
Ooh, could very well be. It very well might be. One thing before we go, gentlemen, I want to ask you something regarding next year, because what comes into play, let's give you a couple of names. Klay Thompson's 1 year left on his contract. Draymond Green wants to get paid. A few of these NBA players want their extensions. They want to get paid. With a new CBA coming into effect, a few teams like Golden State, the Lakers, a few other teams are going to be penalized for them going over and above the salary cap. Now, What do you think? Making that new CBA, agreeing to it, what effect is that going to have on a Draymond Green who wants like $30 million a year? Just for an example, those type of guys. What do you think if the Golden State don't go further? Do they tell Draymond see you later, or do they keep him and pay that luxury tax or whatever else they're going to follow? Because Draymond's the only one on that team who got his bag. Wiggins got his bag. Now they got to worry about Clay, and they got to worry about Draymond. I'm just giving you. If you look at other teams are facing the same situation. But what do you think about that situation? And also, before we get out, I want your take on Dylan Brooks and how he got treated. Do you think it was fair? Do you think, hey, he was kind of a wise guy, he kind of asked for it? What's your take on that?
Go ahead, Mike.
Okay. I think, well, Michael, you and I talked about this a little while ago about the season, right? And what's really taking place. I think Green's gone. I think that's been sort of what been consistently discussed, that he would probably, if there was a guy to go, it would be him, because I don't think they're going to pay him. Now on top of the CBA with a luxury tax situation, and trying to restructure their team and what they're up against as far as willing to spend, right? That was one of the few organizations that was just willing to spend and dealing with the penalties as time has gone on. Yes. So I think they have to rethink. I think they have to rethink on what they have to do, right, as far as that. And I think Green is probably going to be the guy that's going to go. And I don't think it matters if they win the championship or not, or if they go deep. I don't think it matters.
Wow.
Right? I don't. I think, part of that struggle with that team, and I still believe this, is the situation with Poole in the preseason. I think it took that organization a long time to actually correct that and what was really going on. So, he may be one of those situations, and it occurred just recently, right, Mike, when he got bounced out of a game because of his behavior. So, so I don't know long-term the cumulative effect of his behavior and what's taking place with the organization. It just might be time, right? There's certain teams, certain cores that don't stick around for a long time. This core has been together for a long time. So I think it's right for a change. Now, Brooks. You have to be careful what you wish for, right? You wanted to poke the bear, and you did.
Uh-huh.
So he loses his position on that team, a productive player at one point. So I feel bad for him that he sort of got scooped up in all of this, but, you ran your mouth, did it the wrong time. So you have to learn from that. Hopefully he gets another shot with another team, and he kind of grows from that. So we'll see. I think the organization probably just looking to cut bait with him and just, look, we got to move on. I don't want this here. There's enough drama with that with that team already.
Yeah, we know that.
Yeah, you didn't need another spoke to that into the fire on this. So I think the right decision, was made. Hopefully it doesn't hurt him as a player going forward, that he has another opportunity to play, and hopefully he learns from this.
I agree with Mike. I think Draymond's going to be gone. I said it before the season started because he wants his money and everything. The situation Paul didn't really help as well to an extent and all that. But at the same time, I think Golden State's probably always just tired of – they would have to break the core up because you can't really pay, your core players the, same amount of money and all that. You already paid Steph. You paid Paul and Wiggins to a contract extension. Clay got one more deal left on his contract. So you would have to let Draymond go and walked and all that. So Draymond's going to end up being a free agent, whether or not they win a championship or not. You got to let one of them go, unfortunately. So yeah, they already said that they wasn't going to pay him or anything. So unless like Steph goes takes a pay cut, but the new CBA agreement, I don't think he'd be able to, unfortunately. So Draymond's going to be a free agent, and sorry for that. The CBA agreement, I think it's a good deal in terms of just trying to level the competition, in terms of restructuring the contracts. I feel like that was a good thing, just so that we can have at least a level playing field in terms of people to compete and everything. Because some of it, I think, they were just tired of the whole tanking and everything with, the bad teams and all that, trying to tank for the number one pick and all that. So they're trying to make it like a level playing field for competition, in my opinion, though. I got to look more into that. Dylan Brooks, what Memphis did, it was very unprofessional of them, unless because like one of the Grizzlies would have to. They leaked it out saying, "Oh, he would not be resigned under no circumstances and all that." You didn't really have to
Under
say that.
no,
You could have just said that you could have not resigned him and everything. Yeah, he poked the bear and everything. He struggled in the playoffs and all that. Unfortunately for them, in terms of offense and all. So yeah, so Dylan Brooks, I figure, and when you talk to most of the Memphis Grizzlies fans, they don't want them there, unfortunately. And then they try to give him a contract extension and all that. And Dylan, they just couldn't really agree to the amount of money that he wanted and stuff. So, he's gone. He'll still be because he'll still be a good player for a good team. Like, for example, he could go to like a Chicago. He could go to a Dallas Maverick. He could be a Golden State Warrior out of all places and all that, like the right amount of deal because he's worth probably 12, 15, $18 million a year type of guy because he still gives you really good defense. If he can stay consistent on his 3-point shooting, he can still be pretty good for a good team and everything. So, I mean, he probably learned his lesson in terms of running his mouth and all that and the smack talk and all that. But I feel like the Grizzlies, they made him like the scapegoat, unfortunately, because, they got rid of him and all that. There's been a bunch of other problems over there in Memphis and all that, except for, and that he just get voted as a scapegoat was really sad because, he's been there 6 seasons and everything. And then you just put him as a scapegoat. It's just like very disrespectful on the Memphis Grizzlies part, though. But, it's business, so it is what it is.
Now, Justin, for those who are tuning in, how can they check you out? And people, he got 3,000 views. How can people check you out?
Yeah, you can check out my YouTube channel. It's just JP with a Z instead of an S in it's. Got 33,000 subscribers, so you can check me out for basketball reaction videos and everything. You can also check me out. I got another YouTube channel called JP Talk Celtics, where I talk Boston Celtics content, post game and pre game too as well. You can check me out on Facebook, Justin Payton. I'll post like some content up and everything, regarding sports and all that. Follow me on my TikTok. I got JP Talk Celtics and also Justin Payton 57. So you can check me out on Twitter, JP Franchise 57, and also check out Hoop Spaces Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. hosted by Chris. Shout out to Chris from Hoop Spaces. You can check us out there too as well. I'm the YouTube coordinator trying to help Hoop Spaces out too as well. So I'm a busy man. I'm just doing a lot of different things, man.
Yo, I got tired just listening to all that. Folks, Mike, let them know what y'all doing.
Well, still chugging away on the consulting side of things professionally. Still writing the book, still going through all of this. Michael, I sent something to you the other day.
Yes.
So I'm still there, still kind of picking my brain on all this stuff and having these memory flashbacks and trying to get them down on paper and get them edited and viewed and so on. So you can find me at msemio12 on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Reddit. So I don't have 33,000. Was that the right number, John?
33,000, yeah.
33,000.
I don't know. You might have 50,000, so I might have to check.
No, I don't know. I have a pretty good following on LinkedIn, but that's business stuff. But even combined, I don't have 33,000. No.
Wow. Hey.
So, Michael, I was teasing you about what needs to be done to kind of promote this stuff, right? So, So look at Justin over here.
I know, huh? Jeez, I'm
good for you,
wow.
Justin.
I didn't even know all that. I didn't even know all that.
I just promote, man. I promote, so.
Well, Justin, I want to thank you for coming on the show again. I think this is number 5 for you, number 6. And we're going to have a round table in a couple of weeks. I'm going to invite you to come on that. We did the last round table. It was pretty damn good. Yes. So we're going to invite you for that. Again, I want to thank you. And again, congratulations on your wedding. And I'm happy for you for that. Mike,
Justin, you all know Mike. We didn't get the wedding registry, so I don't know where to send any gifts.
Oh, well, I got you in the message. I got you in the message, so I got you.
That's great.
I got you in the message, Mike. I got you.
I hear you. Again, folks, thank you for tuning in to the Sports Corner with the comment on the Sports Empire Network. We running out of time. Make sure you tune in next week because we're going to have another Dynamite show. Again, thank you, Justin. You are the man. God bless you all. Have a good night. Watch the game now. Let's go, Lakers. Have a good night, everybody.